So, class, what type of champions other than bruisers do really, really well in an event like this? Not so sure.
Gnosis.
Probably not.
Maybe Nocturne.
That's a yeah.
Zig.
50-50. Hard yes.
Anivia.
I think Anivia can work.
Egg in Korea. They use the egg as bait. Like they do a bad play on purpose, but the jungler's just waiting, and then they just grieve. Or I mean, you can just make risky plays knowing you have egg. Same with that, you know, like you can make a huge engage or something.
So I'm gonna delete this, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna move on to support. I want my supports, people that are being quiet in here. It's time. Supports. We're auto-filled to support. What do we play?
Nautilus,
Leona, yeah.
Seraphine. You could argue Brand.
Random.
What else?
Morgana.
Morgana, yeah.
I really like Nami because of the heal.
I'm gonna say it, Yumi.
Okay. All right, let's have the debate here. Is this accurate? Nautilus? Do we agree with Nautilus?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Easy to land his hooks.
Point and
Point-click R.
Yeah.
I can be sold on this. All right. All right.
Actually,
You can't hit skill shot.
Whose
Whose skill shot can you hit?
Nautilus, and I'm just speaking from experience playing him as support. It is so easy to just throw your hook and go in and die and pull your team into fights that they shouldn't be in if you engage at the wrong time. I mean, I guess it depends on your knowledge.
I think
of
that's a
when you
good
should
discussion
engage.
point. No, what you just said is
But
actually
it's
really good.
easy to int your team into fights.
Yeah,
What you just said is perfect, because I think there's a distinction that should be made here for anybody that's having this debate, and this debate will come up for some of you in this little tournament thing. You need to ask yourself, you know, when I play these supports, I'm probably gonna int after lane phase. During lane phase, you'll probably win it. Especially if you just land like an early hook or early engage. If you really take to heart that level 2 stuff that I've been harping about, and you fight for level 2 and you go in, you'll probably win. The problem is what he's talking about dying a bunch. I think that starts occurring after lane phase, because newbie supports just start running around the map with engaged champs, and literally they don't count heads on the mini map. They just run in and force, die, right? They force it. The math is wrong. Right? It's like a 3 versus 4 or whatever, and they just int it. So I think I agree overall with the Nautilus. But I think I would caution players to not just like it right after lane phase, right? Because it's easy to just kind of stat check people with Nautilus and go, well, I'm Nautilus with Aftershock, you suck, I'm the best, and just like land on people. But after that lane phase ends, I think that's where people tend to get in the most trouble. Are we feeling the same with Leona? Are there any big considerations that are different here?
She's pretty much the same.
I don't really think as much as Leona, because you at least have to hit her E to go forward.
I don't even know if it's just that. She's just tankier than Nautilus is, and you can go in with the bad E, and you can hit a Q and then walk away.
Leona's like the stereotypical like.
Oh, you're talking about laning phase, yes.
Support that like.
Oh, I'm talking about overall. I mean, laning phase is just one consideration I'm making. Yeah. I think laning phase is probably the most important consideration, if I'm being honest.
I think it's Primo
premier support.
I think the biggest difference, I guess, against Leona and Nautilus is, will Leona use her ultimate and actually land it? Number one, can she land that hit? Or two, is she going to use her E to hit the person, Q them, and then ult them as a stack? Because for a newbie, I don't know if they do that. That's the main difference I see between the Nautilus, because that's an ultimate. Can you hit it? An ultimate.
Yeah, I think on this one, I feel like Leona. Somehow, I almost feel like Leona is worse than Nautilus if auto-filled.
Yeah.
Just because of the R. Yeah, just because of the R. Okay, you got to get a noob that's confident, and then you got to get a noob that'll hit the skill shot and be confident.
Yeah.
Or Leona also is like drunk muscles, man. Like people will be like, "Oh, I'm Leona. I can E anything," and they just run into stuff.
I think with Nautilus though, because it's so like, how hard is a Nautilus combo really, right? Like you hook and then you auto and then you ult, or you can just ult. Like you can't miss a Nautilus ult. I don't know. I'm not completely sold on Leona, but like I don't hate it. So I would say 50-50 on this one. I think it can work well enough in lane. What about Seraphine? How are we feeling about Seraphine?
I hate it. It's terrible.
There's a lot of skill shots.
Like,
too many skill shots.
Seraphine works on the knowledge of like engage. like if she knows when to use her ult to engage, I think that is a very solid ability. However, I feel like most players in my elo don't do that properly, and like I have to ping their like ultimate is available, like make this play for me, and like so I feel like it plays, and like so that kind of matters, and I think.
Yeah, I agree with Project. If you don't know how to use her ultimate, you're just kind of not useful.
I think skill shots aside, I would still say no because of how much she changes going from laning phase to mid game, because you stop going from being this pokey champion to, okay, now I need to shield everybody and position myself to shield as many people as possible.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm thinking it's gonna be a no if it's a noob on it. I'm talking autofills, guys, just for the record. If a noob's on it, I'm gonna say no, because I think one of the most common things that I see, I always imagine the worst supports that I always see, and they're always Sona players, or at least they used to be. For years and years and years. And so Seraphine is basically Sona 2.0 because Riot just wanted I don't know, like a different Sona or something, because I guess she was just that popular. So what I view it as is Project was talking about the ultimate reliability. I think I hard agree with this, because the ultimate makes or breaks plays, and the ultimate almost, I feel like engaging isn't that hard, but counter engaging is something that's even harder for newbies to do, right? And think about when we get the most value out of these big ultimates, the Sona ult, the Seraphine ult. It's when everybody kind of collapses, like folds in, and then the support player reads that and then goes, no, you can't do that, and then ours. I find that they wait way too long, and they either get popped or let their whole team die, and they're not very they're not aware that an engage is coming. So if they're not aware that an engage is coming, they're not capable of disengaging on time. Brand, how are we feeling about Brand?
So the only reason I brought up Brand was two of his abilities, his R and I believe his E, are just like area. All you have to do is walk in this big circle and you can click them. And the other one's just like pretty much like the Morgana pull. You just point and it's a big circle on the ground fire. So really the only skill shot.
I say no, because out of and this is just from experience, if I have a Brand on my team, they're like 0-6 by 10 minutes or 12 minutes, because Brand's kit is just built for you to run in. All of his spells are close range for you to run in, get your passive off, and try to get out alive, but you're not gonna really be able to do that. And he just becomes a liability really fast, like in lane. Once you get out of lane, yeah, he has utility to the team, but if he doesn't have items, he's just gonna walk in and be so squishy that he dies right away. So I mean, that's what I think.
No, this is good, and I do. And the reason that I'm having you guys, like I said, we're just exploring ideas and thinking out of the box. And I would say that we have to imagine in this tournament, right? What's probably gonna happen game after game? How's a game gonna what's gonna be the deciding factor in a tournament where we're randomly putting people in random roles on random teams? What's gonna be the deciding factor, do you think?
Probably people getting their actual role.
English.
English, okay.
Macro. Which team's macro is better?
Coordination.
Everybody's
I'm thinking like team fights at the end of the game or something, because nobody's gonna snowball too hard. Like if everybody.
You don't think people are gonna snowball too hard? Oh man.
I've got something to say.
Okay.
So ideally, when Brand dies in lower elo, it's because of the ADC is not walking up, or Brand is just picking the wrong time to push or to poke. Right? There's a set time to poke in the laning phase. You're only trying to zone off ideally so your AD carry can farm, right? Mm-hmm. I think Brand normally dies and goes 0-6 when he's walking really too far, or he's not playing the bush properly, or Nautilus, Leona engage where they're able to play at max range, engage, and get the pick, right? Forcing him to overextend.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, he has no mobility whatsoever. If his flash is burnt and he gets engaged on even a little bit, he's just dead.
So I will grant Brand. Yeah, I'll grant Brand one thing. I'll grant him that every time he dies, assuming the newbie is pressing the buttons, there's damage coming out. So you do have that, I guess, as a sell.
Yeah, honestly, I was thinking that I'm sort of torn on Brand, because even if you end up like missing everything, if you use the R, that's scary, man. The R is so scary.
It kind of is. So I'm gonna say no, purely, and I do like the idea that he does a ton of damage and it's pretty reliable to hit. I do think it would be annoying, regardless of who's playing him, because I do think that if the guy presses his buttons, that's going to be obnoxious. But I still think he has the poke champion problem of he can't move. How can he move? Right? If he moves off the tower, he just gets owned by anybody that's stronger than him. And unless Brand can trade out, he's just feeding, and he's gonna go like Smile was saying, he's just gonna go like 0 and 1,000 in a game. So let's go to Morgana.
I think it's pretty similar to Brand.
Really?
But she brings
I
utility.
actually disagree.
Like
She's got a
She
good
has
and a
100.
spell shield and a hard CC in her R. With paired with Zhonya's, she's
that
a monster in
hitbox
team
on
fights.
that Q is like basically a bus.
I feel like Morgana in general, guys, is a pretty good contrast to Brand, because Brand, if you run into Brand, like Brand has to do what? He has to combo, right? He has to combo two things. I've been playing this game for a long time. It's hard to dodge Morgana bind. It's not easy. Like even if I know it's coming, it's not easy because the hitbox is pretty large. So, and then we have the added issue of if she's spell shielding, if she spell shields as soon as she's about to take damage, she's pretty hard to kill. And then the Zhonya's is often going to come out. And I think it's a hard yes, actually. I'm surprised so many of you said no. I don't even really think it's close. I think if a newbie's playing Morgana, they always can hit a bind, and they're gonna, again, it comes back to what's the newbie gonna do? The newbie's gonna hug towers and be scared. I mean, they can hit a lucky bind and change the entire game, I think. So I think it's a yes. Nami.
nope.
No.
Yumi, this one, I've never played Yumi in a single game, so I'd be curious to hear if anybody has, if they have any ideas.
Happy to defend this one.
Okay, all right.
So I've been playing Yumi since the PBE, and I don't know anybody else that knows Yumi, but original Yumi had 2 charges on her E. She was a monster. And I will say this, I won every single game on her. She is literally roll fingers. If you know how to properly leash or shoestring like NEACE has done, she is a monster. Her passive gives her free mana, 15% of her mana.
I did not know
And then
that.
a
Wait,
shield. Yeah. If you guys go in and look at her, she is a literal pocket cat of stats. Yes, you can max W, but her shield and her trading and Airy is so strong. And if you get your Airy timer down properly, your jungler will not take damage on his clear, on his leash. That is so strong.
But hold on, pause.
I think that
The key here, though, to remember, is that these are newbies. So are you saying that a newbie could get on Yumi and be useful?
No, I actually have.
If she uses auto and W some of the time, literally.
Wait. But you just said, hold on. You said if he needs to auto, and he needs to be able, but Yumi, if Yumi's autoing and it's a newbie, you're basically telling a newbie to hop off and sneak auto attacks with arguably the tissue paper of League of Legends. Like,
True.
if she gets
Ideally, you only
CC'd,
need 1 auto attack. You're only supposed to get off for 1 auto attack and get back on immediately. It's your AD's job to use the shield effectively to either kite minion damage or anything else like that. The only thing you're supposed to do is sustain and survive till the mid phase to where you're actually useful, and then you can jump between champions and heal them in fights.
I'm gonna say something that's a little bit different than what you guys are saying. I think it's 100% like reliant on how good your ADC is. You can buff stats all you want, but if we're talking about off roll, like assuming your ADC is off roll too, you're gonna get run over. I mean, you're putting all your chances of winning in your ADC. Yeah, there's some skill to landing the Q and getting off and autoing for mana and healing. I get all that.
That's a great point.
But like the ADC is really who you're heavily relying on, because if your ADC can't play or doesn't know how to play a solo lane versus 2 people.
But here's my.
If I interject here,
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
as someone who's actually played with Iron players recently, and seen Yumi like played on, they had a gold ADC that had joined them and was just playing with them. The Yumi was just nothing but a detriment. It was just more of an XP sponge and never got off. And so even the good ADC was actually getting focused down because there was only 1 target to target in lane. So I feel like newbie players are just going to hang on there, and it's just going to put too much weight on the ADC, which is already a hard enough role to have like any agency in my opinion.
I get what you're saying. Yes, she's mechanically involved, but I've been playing her for a long time, and I feel that, yes, I agree with you guys. It is dependent on the ADC hugely, but she can also roam. any other lane gets ahead, she can immediately go to that lane. You put your ADC on
you
an
just
island.
talked yourself out of it, because I know for a fact. No, listen
15,
to me.
it has to be
I know
after
for a
15.
fact. No, I'm with you. I get that. But what I'm saying is, maybe if I will grant you this, we're only during this tournament, no one's typing. That's the other thing. No one's typing. You cannot type. So knowing that you cannot type and knowing that you can only communicate with Pinglish, I believe that I've been playing this game long enough. I have seen Yumi's stick on champions. I literally just saw it on the Iron thing that we did, the 5v5. The newbies fighting each other, the 5v5. The Yumi was on the wrong champion the entire game, right?
And they have to recognize that.
Exactly, and they can't recognize it without help because they're newbies. And I think at the end of the day, I think while Yumi, if they can get over like the entry level stuff, yes, she could probably be pretty fucking good in this, actually. I just feel like if a player was like, oh, I'm gonna try to do Yumi in this tournament, and they're bad, I think it's just doomed. I think there's no way. They're gonna feed in lane, and then they're not gonna know where to stand, and the game's gonna feel like a 4v5. Okay, so let's do this. All right, it's time to pick your autofill jungle. You got newbies, and you're like, all right, newbies, you got to carry me from autofill. All right.
Trundle.
Trundle, interesting.
Ramus,
Kane.
Or maybe V as well.
No, not Kane.
Wait, you said V, Vi? Okay, got it.
Yeah, Y.
Yeah.
Graves.
And Warwick.
Say Zach.
Nunu.
Zach, I think that has a
Okay, good. I don't want to go too deep because we're gonna have to debate all these. So Yi, let's start with Yi. How we feeling?
Yeah. Not a chance.
I think so, mainly because Yi's biggest counter is CC, and you need to be somewhat reliable and aware of your champion for you to be able to be like, okay, I'm gonna hold on to my CC for Yi and be able to potentially communicate it with the rest of the team, have that game plan. And we're all newbies.
I think the Yi pick, even in low elo in general, is a 50-50. Because if that dude starts snowballing, if he gets like 2 kills or 1 kill before he backs,
it's the coordination thing we talked about with tournament, I think.
He can accidentally get fed though.
Can I say something?
All they gotta do is
sure,
hit
yeah,
Q.
go ahead.
What's there now to do?
So I mained Yi for like quite a while, and I have like quite a mastery on it. And I feel like in this meta, Yi is not really good.
Yeah,
and
that's what I was about to say.
And even still, I recommend this because suppose the enemy team has like 4 squishes, then it doesn't matter if he's good or not in this meta. Like as long as he makes some early lethality and like just Qs, he provides that enough pressure as a jungler in the gank and everything, like post level 6 of course, and like over drags and objectives, that I feel like he justifies a new player like operating it.
I don't know, I guess for me as a noob, if I'm ever filled into jungle, like I focus on, oh shit, I need gold. So I just like if he can actually farm and get items and then just focus on that, he can yeah. But I agree with the fact that it depends on how much CC the enemy team has, but like if you learn how to avoid it with a Q and it's literally just a button press, like if you have items, you'll still do some bit of damage. So I guess, yeah, I do agree it's situational.
So I think the end of the day with the Yi, and we'll move on because I want to keep rolling this. I think at the end of the day with Yi, there's a lot of good points that you guys are hammering on, but I think there's one thing that really sticks out with me with this is that I would probably give Yi the nod just because I feel like this champion can get value even if that value is just farming. And the reason I'm saying that is because the Yi can always press R on something and Q on something, right? A noob is probably going to do something with that often enough to where, yeah, he may not 1v9 the game, but I don't think he's going to be as useless as a lot of champions, because think about how common Yi was for years for boosters on like 200 ping. Boosters on like 200 ping playing from fucking China for playing Master Yi. This is a champion that is used to make people with high ping money. This is also a champion that if a noob is piloting it, they're gonna get objectives. If the noob goes, "Ooh, I need to get objectives," guess what? Yi will actually enable that.
Yeah.
Even if they're jungler, yeah. Even if they're junglers of the other side of the map, a bad jungler, like, he's never gonna struggle with his clear. He's always gonna get through his clear. Have you ever heard of a Yi dying through a fucking clear? I've never heard of that in my entire life. And so when I think of it in terms of that, I think I would have to give Yi the nod only Only because if the newbie does bare minimum, I think it would be better than some of these other picks on the list, because he's gonna always deal damage. He's gonna always hit his clear, and if he's asked to take an objective, if his team is pinglishing him around and this guy's just confused, lost, right? He's gonna go to the dragon and he's probably gonna be able to fucking clear it. Trundle, how are we feeling about Trundle? This is a weird one.
I don't think it's weird.
Okay.
Utility.
He's got super good health regen, kind of like he. He's really tanky. He has CC. He can gank. He in a team fight, it's pretty obvious what to do with your pillar, I feel, and it's just really strong. But that's my case for Trundle.
I mean, his ultimate just makes him like next to unkillable in team fights too.
And it also makes the tank killable if he ults a tank.
Well, that's the only thing that you can mess up if you ult the wrong person.
Yeah.
I guess.
Do we trust a noob to ult the right thing?
No.
I think it's also like easier looking at Nocturne as the next one. Nocturne, you need to know how to press R to kind of initiate. Trundle, I feel like you just walk into fights and you pillar. Like, so it's, you don't have that like, oh, am I initiating the fight? Am I not? And it's more just like, if you want to counter engage for something, you just pillar. So
well, I guess I'll ask you this question, NEACE. How many people like, is it the majority or is it very few junglers that if Trundle just walks in on him, he wins the fight?
Oh, that's a good point.
So Trundle will win. Trundle will win pretty much all the duels early. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Every melee fight he wins.
So if Trundle runs into the enemy jungle in the jungle, he's just gonna kill him.
Yeah, but is that gonna happen with new? I guess that could happen. It could happen.
Yeah.
Or it could be the other jungler comes into theirs.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at with my logic is like, I guess the noob could get invaded, and then that's another thing to take into consideration. And I still think Yi would do well versus invades too, actually, because I think Yi would be in the same situation. It's like he's going to be healthier than most junglers, and Yi might just beat your ass, just like Trundle might just beat your ass for invading him. So yeah, I think you guys have sold me on Trundle. This isn't a champion that I'm very comfortable with, but like, I can see it being like functional in terms of clearing. Nocturne, I think this one's a no-brainer personally.
Yes.
I don't see how this champion's ever bad. And I'm just gonna skim this one because I just think it's obvious. Tier list wise, I think it's obvious. I also think it's obvious. Val seemed a little dismissive because of the ult. I think a Nocturne can press R and not even use it and get value.
Yeah, that is true. I've seen some really bad Nocturnes kind of in with their R, but I guess you can do that with any champion. So I do like the lack of vision with the R.
Yeah, so like you can't even teleport. You can't even teleport when the ult's like, you can't do anything when that ult's up. So like a bad Nocturne, like there could be someone that's terrible on it, but the clear is going to be really solid. You know, if the newbie is able to literally just press E and smack people, they'll probably get some value even if they suck. And then the ult, the same thing. Like if they miss their ult and they like ult at a bad time or don't know what to do and they just press it, their team actually just gets an advantage, because I know like in high elo, I play Nocturne, I press R and we'll just win a fight that we shouldn't, even if I didn't do anything, because the enemy team will literally just start separating because they're just confused for a second. I just think it's like insanely valuable ultimate, so I think it's good. Ramus, how do we feel about Ramus?
Yes, big fan.
That taunt is so good in ganks and team fights. I mean,
scaling too,
where he can jump in. Yeah, I think it's just a no-brainer as a yes.
Cool. I think I agree. Kane.
No.
Vi, how are we thinking?
No. Maybe.
No.
I have a sell point as to why I think it's no, but I'm gonna let you guys see if you land it.
All the damage is in the queue and you miss your queue.
There it is. There it is. You said you watched the video?
Yeah, I watched that video that you posted.
So she is a champion that is, yes, the ult is really nice, and I mean, you might be able to pitch Vi to me, but I don't think you're ever gonna fully sell it, because at the end of the day, because all that damage is loaded, what happens is, let me tell you what newbie Vi's do. They telegraph that they're about to do the dash, they miss it, right? Because it's a skill shot, and then they stand there and die. I think this is actually noob bait, and in the tournament, I'm gonna probably see a lot of Vi's, and I'm just gonna chuckle to myself because I know that it's just gonna get them killed. Graves,
No.
No.
No, definitely not. I think
don't know how to kite.
I play a lot of
too
Graves,
weird.
and I feel like he's similar to Kane. Like you have to know how to play the jungle to play him, because you want to be able to take advantage of his dueling potential early and his like really healthy clear, pretty quick clear. You're gonna be a useless champion basically. Yeah, unless you,
Honestly, I'd rather dump this guy into mid to be real with you guys at this
play
point.
Asians a lot of fun there, honestly.
Warwick, yes.
Easy yes.
Pure newbie? A pure newbie? I think yes. Like just a brand new
His
player.
passive alone.
Yeah, I think there's value.
Oh my god, someone's low. Think of a gang.
Yeah, I think
Gank reminder. Built
I
into
hate when like I hate when I coach clients and they're like, okay, it's time, like I'm gonna play Warwick in the coaching. I just roll my eyes because it's newbies that main Warwick, but newbies that like don't main Warwick, I actually don't mind it because of the shit that we were talking about earlier, where he's just hard to duel. It's not like he's just gonna like fast int if he uses his abilities. And I think that, yeah, he still has his R that maybe he can fling that out sometimes and get lucky. And like, I just think it's stable. I think it's stable enough. A Moo.
Yes.
Yes.
I think that's a no. No.
Okay.
I'm the one who mentioned the Amumu.
that out for
Yeah,
Nunu, though.
you mentioned the Amumu, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't play jungle, but from what I've ended up seeing, you just press the W and keep smacking on the E, and you'll get your jungle camps. If you're gonna gank, easy, just shoot out your Q, ultimate. It's like it's brain dead, sort of. I hate to really say it that way, but it's really simple. You know what you're gonna do. Like the only difficult part is feeling like, is he going to build tank or is he going to build AP? Is he going to feel comfortable going into the enemy team and doing his ult? Like, that's about it, but he's in.
I think a lot of your kids.
He still has to land his Q though.
Yeah, your ability to gank and be successful with anything else you do after that, you have to be able to land your Q. If you can't land your Q,
not necessarily.
You can
hit minions in the middle.
Well, ganking, maybe not in team fights.
But it's true, but if he ends up for whatever reason hitting, let's say, a minion, his ult could be an extension and could still catch someone off if necessary, and it's still just a Q, so he could try again afterwards.
I think the bigger problem is if he wasn't so shitty right now in terms of his itemization, I think I would give him the nod. But I think it comes down to whether or not this champion just loses. Think about all these situations we were talking about, like invades and then like the conditional like Q and all that. Amumu isn't some like scaling god like he was in the beginning of the season, and he's not even really anything that's really good into invades. Like if a noob gets invaded, let's say that the noob is facing someone that's slightly a higher elo in the jungle, right? Just even slightly, and that guy gets the confidence to go into the enemy jungle, or even a solo laner gets the confidence to go into the enemy jungle and invade that Amumu. That guy's gonna fucking die like every time, because this champion cannot escape once caught. Like, yes, he could bandage toss over the wall, but again, we're talking about newbies here. I think he's just free food walking around. I think since his Q is as conditional as it is, and that this ult, yeah, the ult will be valuable and it'll be useful, but he's probably just gonna run it down so often in the jungle. Just jungling alone, he's gonna just misplay a gank, get counter ganked, feed, and then be useless, I think.
I think what would be the point in playing a Mumu when you can just play Nunu?
Yeah, no, I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to tier list. But yes, I don't think you're completely like left field or anything. Dark, I don't think you're like completely left field with what you're saying. I think it's pretty accurate. Like, he is easy to play. It's just, I don't know if I would ever really want to risk having a newbie on it and just lose because the champion is weak in general. All right, Zach.
I feel like it's too gank reliant.
I say yes.
I say yes, but I don't really like Zach that much.
I think his clear is really easy because of his passive. So you're not gonna have really trouble clearing on him early, and you can pretty much gank with, I think it's his E. I don't play Zach, but the jump, you can gank with that from like Fog of War. I mean, it's kind of hard to mess up a gank with Zach.
If it's your first time
out of position.
His passive is like a Nivea egg, except there's 4.
Yeah.
You gotta play the mini
and
game.
then he has his passive going for him too.
I also feel Zach's a tank, and you can take up a lot of space with that.
Yeah, sometimes just.
Yeah, not a noob really tank though.
Yeah, I think it's close. I think I think this is a really close call for me because I always feel like every Zac player, I very rarely feel like they're just fucking up too hard. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like when their ganks are really hard to ward for. I feel like their ganks are one of the easier ganks to pull off, even though it's a skill shot. I don't think it's that difficult. I'm not so sure that it's like a hard yes. I think it's a very close to being no yes, purely because of, like we said, that passive gets you value. There's space taking there. You know, every time you see a Zac, it doesn't matter how behind he is. He's a pain in the ass to fucking kill, right? Like, he just runs around and flops around, and Anubi will press those buttons and actually like delay you. And then the passive comes up and it's like, if this guy was playing something really squishy, he would probably just be free food. And then if the guy is lucky enough to get a kill, he actually will be obnoxious. Like, the champion is obnoxious in general. Yeah. And it's precisely what, if I'm smurfing in this thing and I see a Zac get a lucky kill or two, I go, well, shit, if this guy could have just played something easier, I would be able to just mop the floor with this lobby. But now since he plays this, I have to go through this guy to kill the rest of his team. Right? Yeah. And even though the noob is a noob, he's just gonna be there, and he's always gonna just press alt every time you go on him. He's always gonna smack into you every time you go near him. He's just gonna flop around, and it just puts a lot of, like, it just gives the noob a lot more power than he probably would have on a lot of these other picks. So I think it's a close yes. I think it's a close yes. Last section, ADC. You're auto-filled to ADC. What the hell do you play? What do you do?
Tristana.
You dash.
Dash.
Misfortune. I would say Ash. Sorry, that's
Sivir.
I don't know, dude.
Jinx.
Any AD carry with an escape.
I kind of like this idea of off meta picks. All right, you're a noob.
Seraphine.
Ziggs. I would say Ziggs again, I think, maybe.
Jinx.
Okay, good. That's good. Okay, start with Tristana.
I would give a hard no on that.
I think because you have to really know to engage. You want to push level 2 early. You really want to snowball on her. She does scale well, but
you got so many
you gotta be confident.
Well, I feel like Tristana actually helps that, like, counter that. So suppose the noob doesn't know all that, Tristana can literally just like stand back and like even at level 1 just throw her E and just auto and like like still do damage, plenty enough to like scare them off.
Yeah. So I'm not getting value of jumping in, but can use it as an escape.
Escape, yeah, at least.
Yeah.
And she can survive.
Engage. The hard thing about her is you can't freeze the lane, but when it comes to like ganks and stuff, you have more survivability compared to other AD carries. You're not immobile. You have your W, you can use it for engage or disengage. You have your R, you can use it for disengage as well, or you can use it to like kill someone, like finish them off. There's a lot of options so you don't die.
How many times have everyone here seen a Tristana try to go in for a kill hard, like jump in the middle of everybody, and she dies because she wants that reset? Like,
is the noob in the tournament actually going to do this though?
That's the thing. I think they would, because I feel like that's generally why they're doing it, because they're the noob.
I don't think a noob knows about resets.
I agree with Mr. Snuggles. I think he's right. Like, I main Tristana, and that's the one thing I see. I'll play against a Tristana that picked my pick, and next thing you know, they're leaping in on me, and I'm like,
no. You guys are missing the point though. You're a noob. This is how this is gonna go. It's gonna be 5 people versus 5 people. There's gonna be it's gonna be all random teams and random elos and random rolls, right? The noob wants to advance. It's a best of 1. Like, we're just gonna pick 5 and have 5 go, and if you win, you advance, right? You in that random pool, the random pool is getting smaller, but you advance, right? I feel like the noob's gonna be petrified to make a play.
That's true. Yeah, I think in this setting where we're talking it up so much, honestly, like I'm gonna probably sit under turret if I don't know what I'm doing.
I would say Tristana, yes, all because like when I'm auto-filled, I use the mindset of I'm going to sit back and farm and try not to die and get carried.
It's gonna be a heightened sense of fear, I think, for most people, because they're gonna want to keep going, right? Like anybody could luck their way through if they get carried. I think this is gonna make people play a lot more scared. No one wants to be that guy that's a noob, that's auto-filled, that's running it down. I think you're gonna see people they're gonna actually be really, really hypersensitive to like, ooh, I can't die. I cannot die.
So I'm sorry, but I think on this one I would have to disagree on, because I can't help but feel like game design related. Tristana has her, when she lands her E, new players generally want to max out that damage. They really, really, really badly want to get all of those hits to get as much value as possible, even if it ends up meaning that they're going to get hit in the face a lot. And I feel like that's going to make them want to jump in really badly, even though, but I agree overall, like, yeah, they probably would be petrified as all hell, but on Tristana specifically, that game mechanic would actually push them, I feel, to like, but I gotta finish it. I gotta hit that last hit. That's just my opinion on it. Anyway,
I think
you're good.
Casino bells too. Like every time you hit it, it starts getting bigger. It's like a casino, like you're playing the slots.
The psychology of Tristana.
I think at the end of the day, if a guy's picking Tristana in this thing, I think they're picking it not because they expect to 1v9. I think they're picking it because they're terrified of feeding. And I think that alone is probably a decent argument for it being a yes as an autofill pick. And I would also double on this and say that when I'm smurfing and I see the enemy team has a Tristana and I'm playing anything in my pool, I go, oh my fucking God. Couldn't he have just picked like Misfortune or something? Like, couldn't he have just picked like Jin, something that can just like kill really easily? This R and this E, there's like no counterplay to diving this champion. So I think that Tristana's probably gonna wind up being a sissy when it comes tourney time. But I don't think you're completely out in left field over there with what you're saying. I think that there's decision paralysis for sure, but I think the decisions are gonna be pretty locked down when these players recognize that they're going to be the liability that chooses whether or not their team and they advance. Well, what else we got here? We got Garen?
No.
Yes.
I'm going to say yes just because I play Garen.
Really? Okay.
I think melee in bot lane is kind of... You might get... Yeah, you kind of have to know what you're doing a little bit.
I'm going to put sus on this one. That's a tricky one. That's a tricky one, but it's not a... But I'm a little disappointed in the VIP section tonight because I heard a lot of meta stuff, but man, there's so many options for the newbies to play stuff that just is like, doesn't feed, right? Like just some safe shit. Yeah, man, just like, if I'm in this tournament, I'm not gonna be, but if I'm in this tournament and I'm there, I want the noobs playing some fucking tanks on AD carry, dude. I don't want them going,
very true.
I don't want them going anywhere near a damn ADC, right? I want them playing Shen. Go down there and play Shen.
I
think that if I were you and I got dumped into AD carry, I would play fucking Garrett. I'd go Doran Shield with second win, and I'd play my main champion. Yeah, I'd play my main champion. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, you can do it.
I really want to. This is a coaching / discussion section, and I really want to do. I really want to open your minds to this, guys. Is that like the meta is not like that good for solo queue in bot lane? It's not. Ziggs is like the king of bot lane, right?
There's so many other champs bleeding into the lane, right?
Ziggs was arbitrarily just found. Okay, there's so many weird options. The problem with bot lane is that bot lane is notoriously stuck in meta mode. Like they're notorious for it, and that's why I wanted to talk about this topic tonight, because I know. Well, because you've got a random person that's relying on you, and that random person will get tilted as soon as you bring something different every time. That's why it's so meta reliant. Like I guarantee you, like I go, the classic example is the NASA support that people like to fling out there. I used to play it all the time. NASA support, you go E max and W. You don't even take a point in Q. You run down the lane, you spam E at people, you'll probably win. It's really oppressive. It's really obnoxious. I've lost to it in top lane. I've lost not to the support, like the items, but like the AP NASA's top. I've lost to that shit. It's obnoxious. So like, yeah, if you pick it though, your teammate goes, oh dog, woof woof, you bad, right? And just like starts fucking trolling. But like in reality, if players were more open-minded about like maybe there is a possibility here. Maybe we could throw a Shen down here and get something done, right? And it would be just that simple. Like you guys realize back in like season, like I don't know, 6-7 seasons ago, lane swaps were common. I don't know how many of you guys were playing back then, but I used to play high elo 5v5s just when I thought, maybe I'll try pro stuff. Obviously, I never really wanted to fuck with that after experiencing it myself, like the actual scrim stuff. But like what you do in scrims with like challenger scrims, you would swap. Like you would just be like, oh, I'm NAS's top. Well, I go to bot lane because this guy picked Renekton. I'm not playing into this shit. And you would just go bot lane, and then you would make the Renekton play 2v1, and you'd be like, well, I 2v1 better than you. So there's definitely champions out there that can handle being bullied around, and that's why I use Shen as an example. Like there's tons of champions in the pool that if you guys just think outside the box, you might be surprised. Like throw Maokai down there. Maokai ADC, I don't give a shit. That guy will have a W, that guy will have an E, he'll have his R. I mean, yeah, he'll be Maokai with 10 CS, but you know what? He was gonna have 10 CS anyways and be Ashe. So what's the fucking difference, right? Ashe, how do we feel about Ashe?
She has R and like a bunch of slows. She's very easy to kill though.
Very easy poke, reliable poke. Arguably the
she has
easiest of all.
reliable CC in a team fight scenario. I mean, all she's got to do is just throw her E out, and if your team's ahead, I mean, they're not running. Just tosses her R in the general direction of the enemy team.
It's also good to check out like to basically ping to your other teammates, like, oh my god, they're taking dragon, because some of them they don't pay attention, right? If you just E, they will all see.
Yeah, there's value definitely. I think I like Ashe. If you guys were to try to sell any AD carry to me in this list, it's probably gonna be Ashe. I think that because of how easy it is for her to like land some slows sometimes, I think it's just too easy for her to actually do stuff. Like there's not much in her kit that's like completely useless. Like her Q, I guess, like noobs using Q properly is probably pretty bad. But if they use their W, if they use their E and they fling out ults sometimes, I think there's gonna be something there. So I think it's a yes. Misfortune?
No, I'd say no.
Similar to Ashe, she's a little more safe than Ashe because of the move speed and her.
Oh, I hard disagree. I hard disagree with that. This is like the biggest. I mean, this is the biggest bag of gold ever in bot lane. This fucking champion. If I see this champion and I'm in this tournament, I am literally going to focus all resources to this lane for the whole game. I'm just every time she's alive, if she's bad and she's on Misfortune, this person is fucked. Like I'm just gonna go down there over and over again. Every TP off cooldown, I'm just gonna kill her. There's no way she can stop it. How can she? Sivir?
No, I haven't seen Sivir work in any.
Yeah, I think this is. I think it's similar to the Misfortune thing. Like we see it. Yeah, we see it, and we're happy. And are they really ever gonna get their spell shield off? Yeah. Ziggs, are we ever gonna? Is Ziggs gonna work down here? I don't think Ziggs works mid, but does Ziggs work down here?
I think with a support, especially like a thresh or something. I mean, like, yeah, and getting plates, dude. Like, if anywhere, like, you might want a real mid laner, but I really think there's utility in just having Ziggs for turret damage and
I think he's gonna
waves. You can.
I think he's gonna end. Yeah, I think he's gonna end. I think he's gonna be too much of a liability. Every ability he has is a skill shot.
If we're talking noob versus noob, noobs can't dodge skill shots. So.
Noob versus noob.
He'll dodge the skill shot for them by throwing it in the wrong spot.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen a Ziggs knock himself into the enemy turret.
I think your argument's a little better on bot lane because he is so strong bot lane, but I still think he's Ziggs, and I still think a noob on Ziggs is just a big old feed fest. I just think it's a no. Here's the thing, when I go through this list, I just think AD carry is just the dangerous spot to have a noob, guys. That's what I think.
Ziggs has a 55% win rate in silver.
No, I'm with you. But he's going to be matched. He's going to be matched against people that are much better than silver. That's the thing. It's going to happen. It may not be in his lane, but that's even the bigger problem is that you're in bot lane and you're going to be 2 to 3 levels behind. You know it's going to happen. He's going to be 2 to 3 levels behind, and he's just going to be something that some Smurf clicks on through the whole tournament. I think it's a dangerous pick. Yeah. Seraphine?
No.
Seraphine's weird.
I think
I've never had any luck with her. She's
actually, I think
I'd say 50-50, probably leaning more towards no.
The reason I say yes is because unlike the support role where you have like the warding and you have you're going around and you're trying to help your team, you're kind of out for your own as she's playing ADC as her, and your ult's going to be hard to use correctly, but you're not like the traditional ADC that's just going to sit back and be squishy and die, you have utility to the team.
Yeah.
In a role that doesn't really have a lot of agency right now. So it's kind of like you're actually adding more benefit than you would.
I like this argument. This is probably the best argument I've heard. This is probably the best argument I've heard all night for something that I didn't necessarily buy into. I like how you frame that. Because she doesn't have to ward, she's going to be able to fulfill her newbie destiny, right? The newbie destiny of sitting back and chilling. And then we do get some utility out of her no matter what, right? And she isn't going to just bomb the role completely. She might bomb the role completely, but she's at least going to have some utility to her team. I don't know if it's a yes, but I definitely like it more than like Sivir and Misfortune and Ziggs.
I feel like she's
you know
a
what I'm
champ,
saying?
even
So
if she's 3 levels down, she still has value.
Yeah, that's what I'm
talking
saying.
about value, like with her
that's what
healing and shielding and stuff, or like her
yeah,
ult?
I think it's a 50-50. I think it's close. I think
Yeah.
the argument about the not warding is a pretty good one because I think the newbies has to hug the tower and just pray, right?
Yeah.
So we've got last and certainly not least Swain.
I saw Explain with an Oblivion Orb like 1v5 in a game earlier today. And I mean, but I think at the same time he is somebody you kind of have to understand. There's a little bit of skill expression there. I'd say just a little bit.
I don't know. I think you pretty much just read the skills, and it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, he does give his E passive is pretty big, honestly. If he
His
does right
passive, on the E, like you're saying, it's
like his E passive can
having to
straight up
click
get
on
picks.
people.
But that's to play it perfectly. I'm just talking about the root, the snare, giving vision, just ulting, impossible to kill, then he's on it.
Fairly safe if you like rush Onias, like you just press R and
It's always a stressful lane if there's a Swain in there. It doesn't matter. Like, he's always got that thing to pull you forward. I don't play Swain.
I think the mechanic of having to click on people when they're CC'd, actually, like the first couple times I played him, threw me off. Like, I didn't actually understand it.
yeah, it's unlike any other ability. It's kind of weird, but it's a really strong ability in my opinion. Yeah.
I think you figure out that E after the third time that you mess it up.
I think I think this one's a yes, and the reason why is because this champion is the win rate king of bot lane. Fun fact, you can look that up. And one of the things is the newbie that plays Swain gets value out of Swain because of the pull. The pull is a very, very good thing. It's very similar to me as almost like a Morgana bind, in that it puts pressure on players that are better to dodge it. And then Swain also is just like weirdly tanky and annoying enough to where, yeah, a newbie might be farmable, but he's certainly going to be tougher to kill than he would have been if he played a traditional AD carry. And if somehow the noob manages to outlane another noob, then Swain actually becomes like a huge issue. Like,
yeah, he really does.
Like this champion is like I said, this champion is the literal win rate king of bot lane. Like it's like all roles, like if you or all ranks. If you go to all ranks and you look at Swain right now in the last patch, rank 1 as a bot lane, as the bot lane champion. So I think even though like Swain isn't some like superstar noob pick or anything, I think that like I don't see how it would be bad, because if the newbie's running backwards and just flinging these like pulls, he might actually hit one. And if he hits one, that's a big win for a noob, right? If the noob is getting any value at all, we're very, very happy with our teammate. So I think it's a yes. I think it's a weird champion though, and not enough people probably play it, because it seems like everybody that plays it seems to win games with it. So it's got to be strong enough. So
it doesn't. Yeah, he's strange.
So how do we feel about this exercise, people?
Yeah, I feel a lot better understanding of what characters to play if you don't know what to play.
Yeah, I would say this hopefully gives you guys a little perspective on the game. The reason I did this exercise is I wanted to get everybody talking and try to get everybody out of their shell, and I hope you guys all felt comfortable talking. That was kind of my goal. And so what we're trying to do here is obviously kind of see where you guys are at with game knowledge, and then try to defend your positions, because a lot of League of Legends is justifying your positions and understanding what it is that you're, you know, what you're trying to do in a game, and why you think a pick is good or bad. This also has bonus tie-ins. If you thought this was kind of a dumb exercise, this has bonus tie-ins to what we do in games. Like I talk about dodging all the time, right? Dodging still exists. If it doesn't go anywhere, but you know, in the next year, 2 years, which it doesn't look like it's going to go anywhere really, knowing this type of information is really important, guys, for choosing whether or not to keep games, to dodge, maybe pick something different, or maybe if you are auto-filled, think about what we just went over and why it's functional, right? We are all human, right? And when I play this game, I'm not like, I can play all the roles if I want to grind a role at any given time, but if I'm playing in like high elo, if I haven't played AD carry in a year, which I haven't, right, it's gonna be pretty ugly. So I'm gonna throw out some picks that I know that I'm gonna be functional for my team, you know, come hell or high water. And that's basically what I want you guys to start thinking about, because you're eventually going to get auto-filled, or you're eventually going to find comps, and you're going to think back to this talk that we had, and you're going to go, ooh, this champion is going to be useless when this game starts off. Maybe I should get out of the way of this. Or, hey, I'm auto-filled. Ooh, I'm going to be useless if I pick this. I should try to do this, right? And I really want to hammer home this talk about AD carry for you guys. Don't get stuck in the mud with like the meta and all that bullshit. Seriously, do not. There's so many cool options out there, and I think you'd be surprised if you tried something that was a little different. Even something like Swain, if you try something that's different and play it a little bit, I think you would be pretty happy with the results.